After 45 games of the Sky Bet League 2 campaign, boss Nigel Clough has a very clear message ahead of Saturday's finale.
I don't want it to dissolve into nothing. I don't want us to waste all the work that we've put in, not just in the last 6 months, over the last 18 months. I don't want to waste it on Saturday. And I felt there was an element to that on Monday. We missed an opportunity on Monday. Don't miss another one.
A 2-2 draw at Salford may have eliminated another team from the playoff race, but as Clough rightly says, it was an opportunity missed. And so this coming Saturday, if Stags want to gain automatic promotion, not only do they need to beat title-hunting Forest Green Rovers, they also need the sides around them to drop points. Nigel Clough's men need to focus on the probabilities, and for me, even taking off the pessimistic hat which I always seem to wear, they need to ensure they gain at least 8 points, as by doing so they will finish in the playoffs and stay in with a chance of success. Defeat to Forest Green Rovers then means it's all eyes on Sutton United, so let's deliver a 4-word team talk and keep it simple. Don't lose out now. Coming up tonight, we'll look back at the 2-2 draw at Salford and go through all the permutations as this crazy season reaches its dramatic crescendo. Get involved in the comments on the live feed and have your say on your team. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. It's time to banish the memories of 3 years ago, where just a point was needed for automatic promotion, and focus on getting the job done this time around. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Strap yourselves in, make sure you've got a defib near you because the drama is going to the wire. When your efforts come to nothing, don't believe it's all in vain. View every little setback as a chance to try again. Forget all thought of failure, that's a thought you'll never need. And take comfort from the knowledge you're certain to succeed. So long as you don't lose to Forest Green Rovers on Saturday at home at the One Course Stadium, the Stags will succeed in some way, shape or form by finishing in the Sky Bet League 2 playoffs. Hello and welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. The end of the season is nigh. A big home game on Saturday afternoon could well be all or nothing again. Joining me to ramp up the tension, to look ahead to that huge game on Saturday and reflect on the 2-2 draw at Salford. Two men with lots of promotion experience, lots of final day experience, and all of the expertise and the tears to come with it as well. One man who will be critical to that, I'm sure everybody will listening to him word for word, breath for breath at the halftime interval when he reads out the halftime scores, is Alan Wilson. Good evening.
Good evening, Craig, and good evening, everyone.
And the man watching from just alongside me in N Block in the Ian Greaves Upper Clive parking. Good evening.
Hey up, Craig. Hello, everybody.
Good to see you in the conservatory again, in basking in that sunlight. It must mean that the end of the season is nigh again. Well, I don't know where to start, fellas. I mean, final game of the season is just around the corner. Obviously, it seems like an absolute eternity that we were sort of sat here at the start of the season looking ahead for what could come. And I don't know about you chaps, but on one hand, I do want it to finish because I want I want to see the end result. But on the other hand, I really don't. And I'm really in two minds ahead of Saturday, Clive.
Yes, we could never have predicted a season like this, could we? I mean, it is a tricky one now because we've got our appetite for success back. And of course, if we don't then achieve that, it's going to be a disappointment for a lot of people. And yet you've got to keep reminding yourself what it could have been if the earlier season's trend were to continue. But that won't mean for anything if we fail on Saturday. We'll all be rightly disappointed to have thought that all the work that's got in so far, that's got us so close, might not actually get us there.
Yeah, it's all because we didn't get a goal at Salford on Monday after, in the second half. One goal, Alan Wilson, would have been enough to at least seal the Stags' playoff fate, but a draw wasn't enough because Sutton United can still catch the Stags mathematically. And of course, with results which went elsewhere after the game, the Stags could have been heading into Saturday's game, sat in third position, and it would have been theirs to lose, just like 3 years ago today.
It's just a shame, Craig, that, on here, on everywhere else, on the internet, on the talking pages, social media, we're not really talking about the second half performance. We're talking about, what should have happened with the gentleman that scored the second goal and the equaliser for them shouldn't even have been on the pitch. But it's just a thing that we've had to, go along with all the time. It seems to be, especially the last 10 games, but I just don't think we were good enough in the second half. When they scored the goal after the first 2 minutes, we were unplayable for the next 20 or 25. We played absolutely superb football. And if Longstaff had tapped that one in, and, instead of just going by the post, could have been a different story.
I'm having flashbacks.
But it's just, it's one of those things. What will be, Craig, at the end of the day.
Yeah, what will be indeed. I mean, for me, Clive, your thoughts on this? I actually slightly disagree with Alan. I felt that we were all right in the second half, but it depends on looking at what we were coming up against, and that is a Salford City side that were desperate. They needed to win. Their season's over now. They're in Sky Bet League 2 again next year. They needed desperately to get 3 points, and we're going to come out and chuck everything, including Bab's Kitchen, as in that second half, and did. I felt that we were a little bit nervy, yes, but we sat back and defended, because I think had we gone for it in the last 10 minutes or so, I think we'd have got caught. I think we did enough to get a point there, and on reflection, I think as frustrated as we are that we didn't get that goal in the second half, Clive, I would have taken a point before the game had even kicked off, considering the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did enough to win, to be honest. But they were no pushover. I mean, as you rightly say, they were hungry to win, and they won about nearly all the aerial battles during the game. And they were a little bit nasty as well. And sadly, the referee missed the most obvious one. But we've had bad referees all season. It wasn't going to change at Salford. And I'm really pleased they've not got out of this league, because they're a tin pot club. They need to stay in the bottom league. And their toilets are disgusting.
You mean their porta cabins with buckets on the walls, essentially?
They have some metal containers which they've converted into toilets. And there was no power to them. So there's no hot water, there's no lighting, and no hand dryers. I mean, come on.
Sky Bet League 2 standard for you.
No, it's way below the average standards for Sky Bet League 2. They are a tin pot club. They're fur coat and no knickers.
I think we're going to be in for a long night with Clive tonight. We're going to be in for a long night, but I love it all the same. But Alan, I think, when you take into that consideration, when you look back, yes, in your view, we were poor in the second half. I think we just defended, and we had to defend, but I'd rather come away with a point than come away with nothing, because imagine if we'd have lost that game going into the final game of the season, because we would have then needed to win. A draw probably wouldn't have been enough. We would have 100% needed to win. At least we've given ourselves, we'll look at the permutations properly in a couple of minutes, but we've given ourselves the best-ish possible chance, really.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with the point. I haven't got a problem with the point, but it was quite comical. I was at work, and we were going round as quick as we could. And then when we'd done, we'd tipped off, and we're just coming back to the yard. And the gentleman, Daz, who was sat at the side of me, says, "Oh, team's through." And he starts reading all these names out. And I says, "Oh, well, where's Oates then?" "Oh, Oates is in." "Well, where's such and such?" "He's in." And I didn't know I couldn't work out who was missing until I got home and had a look for myself. And then I realised Hewitt wasn't in the team. And in my opinion, that was a mistake.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Nigel
that was a
Clough.
mistake.
I think Nigel Clough sort of reflected on that a little bit post-match,
Yeah.
but I couldn't 100% see, Clive, why he did do it, because he wanted to get Hawkins in for the height to go up against the generically named Matt Smith for them, who was about 9 foot tall. But I think you should have just kept the same back four and just put Hewitt at centre half. I think Hewitt would have dealt with him.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the logic, but what you're asking me to accept is that Hewitt was worth less in the context of that game in the defence than bringing back Hawkins. Now, everything that damaged us on Monday was down the left wing. And, it was no mistake from my point of view that we left ourselves exposed because of the change to the back four. Hawkins, I don't think, had a particularly good game either, but, that's not a real criticism. That's just, this happens. I thought we beyond the goals, we handled them very well, which is the positives. But I'm afraid that the goals that they scored were gimmies.
They were two gimmies.
They were undefended crosses and undefended headers.
Yeah, they were two gimmies, which is very disappointing, Alan, from our perspective. But we're subject to that anyway. I think the one positive thing, though, is the fact that after that, opening goal within the opening 2 minutes, finally we had the capability within ourselves to get back in it. Because I said to Lee Wilson, my co-commentator, before the game kicked off, if we concede first, we might be struggling here, because we do not do well when we go behind first. No. And that's always been my worry. And it's just fortunate that we made the most of set pieces, because we win a free kick, which, yes, you can watch it back and Salford will argue wasn't a free kick, but it's given. We put it in the back of the net, and I think that balances out in terms of the justice, with Lund not getting a yellow card, at least for a clear stamp down the back of Matty Longstaff's ankles. And then, it's a free kick which leads to the penalty. Also, by the way, seemed to me like deliberate handball. So that should have been a booking, which would have been his second yellow card, which would have reduced them to 10 men. So swings and roundabouts.
If he'd have got pockets in his shorts, I think he tried to put it in his pocket.
He did.
Waving at it before he tapped it. But personally, I just don't like Perch at right back.
I could so stitch you up with that and clip that out now.
I don't think it suits him personally. But I mean, that's only my opinion. I think he's a better centre half, and that's where the problems came from.
We had two previous games where we won 2-0. And so we had a back four that conceded no goals in the previous two games.
And we're solid as well.
I don't see a good enough reason to change that, although I accept the logic that Clough was espousing regarding combating the aerial threat.
I think he'll very much...
We didn't in the end. We didn't combat it very well.
No. I think he'll very much go back to the back four, as was with Perch and O'Toole at centre half. Those two were absolutely brilliant together, and it's really surprised me that it actually took until with 4 games left to go to that, because it was the most logical choice all the way through. But for when they were both available, Charlie says should never change a back line that's had 2 clean sheets in the previous 2 games. Absolutely agree. Mark says well said, Clive. Salford their away support of 70 plus. Surely it'd be very similar to Forest Green actually on Saturday.
Club.
Yeah, there we go. Stags Chat says not over until the fat lady sings. Slim chance of autos, but we'll be happy with the playoffs with the season we've had. I'm proud we've got this far. Craig says no need to worry, folks. Alfie is a mascot Saturday owed from 2020. Mansfield have never lost on any of the past mascot days. Swear down there were a few of those. It's been me that's been running those mascot packages and passing a piece of paper to Mr. Wilson before the game. I will not be doing that this Saturday because I don't work for that company anymore. So I'm hoping that Alfie keeps the look and my part in that doesn't distract from that. I don't, I'm just wearing the pessimist hat, really. Mark says, how exciting is this then? Who'd have thought we were still playing to be promoted at the last game of the season whilst we were languishing at the bottom of the league? And I think above all else, Alan, that's something which, come 5 o'clock on Saturday, no matter what happens, we need to look back with sheer pride on, because this team at one point were down and out.
Definitely. I mean, at the was it October, November? We're next to the bottom, and the unbelievable way that they've clawed their way back into it is beyond belief. Really, it's the belief that we had from the start of the season, even though they lost the 12, 12, 14 games, whatever it was, where they couldn't win a game, and then they went the same again, unbeaten. So it's like we say, what will be, will be. But we ought to be thankful that we've got Nigel Clough at the helm, we've got the Radfords and David Sharp above Nigel, and everything else is clicking into place, hopefully.
Yeah, it certainly is. Clive, like the comments were said there, the climb and the journey we've been on has been absolutely unbelievable. And I think again, a lot of credit obviously goes to the staff and the players for the attitude and the application they've shown to the games this season and the way they've played. But also, it needs to go to those at the top of the club for remaining patient. I know we've said it before, but it's very, very much worth highlighting here because if things don't go our way on Saturday and if things don't go our way in the playoffs, it'll be a similar thing they have to consider. And I think it'll be a similar outcome. I think Nigel Clough will remain the Mansfield manager because it's shown, hasn't it, that faith and patience and allowing him to build over time will lead in some way, shape, or form to success.
There's no way that Clough will leave unless he wants to himself this summer. I mean, it would be an absolutely ridiculous decision to take. I mean, the man's done nothing other than move the club forward. You could argue that he allowed it to slip back at the beginning of the season, but I don't think he was responsible for the sending offs and the injuries we had at that time. But I think we have two seasons in one. You often say there are three, but I've got before and after O'Toole. And I think that was the turning point from my point of view. He brought something to the club that everybody recognised to the point where we fought tooth and nail to get him signed on after his loan period. And I think that was the most important signing we've made.
You mean the short contract period, you mean?
Yeah, well, he came on a short loan, didn't he?
No, it was a short-term contract. It wasn't on loan.
Sorry, no, sorry. Yeah,
I know, it's the illness. I'm just getting it clarified before people jump on
it's
your back and defending you, that's
and
all.
old age.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and I
didn't
got
like
his
to
name
say the
right,
old
so
age
come
bit.
on, be fair. It was O'Neill until recently.
That's very true.
No, I just think that he brought that element of toughness and stability at the back that we've been struggling to get with the existing players. And after that, we really turned it on. And all right, we've slipped up a couple of times since, but everybody does.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
at Forest Green.
Yeah, I mean, they've it's almost like they've got over the line in terms of promotion, and then they've gone, well, that's it, lads, job done, feet up, and we are where we are. I don't think they'll care too much about winning the title. We'll come on to that a little bit more later on, because I want to stay on the run and talking about the run. And Alan, I think Clive mentioned there, obviously, O'Toole. We talk about the influence of Stephen Quinn, and I guess it's just one of those things, isn't it, where you look back on this season, you always talk about your ifs and your buts, but those players, with the exception of Quinn, touchwood, he may be available. I've got a funny feeling deep in my water that even if Stephen Quinn is at 40, 50%, he will play some part on Saturday against Forest Green Rovers. But with those players involved, they're the key moments, and that's what's been the catalyst to this run, that belief in the dressing room and that the fact that we don't, the fact that we've stuck together and really, really built on something and not allowed ourselves to crumble.
And it doesn't, you can't miss the fact also where Macca's had a part in that as well, I think, Craig, because he's definitely, well, in my opinion, he's my player of the season, Macca, and I think he deserves the choice because the way he's played, he's brought Quinn into the game. When Quinn's not playing, it's not, it's not same down the left-hand side, but Macca has always, apart from when he's injured and whatever, he's been there and he's had a tremendous season. But I do agree with Clive about the O'Toole as well. You can name quite a few, can't you? Name 5, 6, 7 players. Bishop, they all get a good mention. But
don't underestimate. Sorry, Alan, interrupt you. While I have to say things while I think about them. You know what I'm like. Don't underestimate the progress that's been made by. Sorry, I'm having to see Hewitt, because I've unashamedly put him as my man of the season simply because he's had such a rocky start and he's become an absolute stalwart throughout the season. And as I said earlier, we missed him against Salford, But there are other candidates, and certainly I wouldn't lose any sleep if he wasn't the final choice. But there are 3 or 4, maybe 5 players that have been instrumental in turning the season round.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Player of the Season awards and things like that later on. Also, I want to just flag up a quick comment from Charlie, who asks, if we don't go up, who do you think will leave the club? We're not going to talk about that today, mainly because we obviously want to focus on Salford and Forest Green, but also we're saving that glorious content for the end of the season. So once the season's all well and done, we always do, we have done for the past 5 series of the podcast, we always do our end of season review where we look at things like influential signings, key moments, where it went wrong, where it went right, and then of course look ahead to the following season in terms of looking at people out of contract and things like that as well. So we're not going to talk about that tonight, but we will talk about that in coming weeks. So make sure you keep stuck with us here on the Mansfield Matters podcast. Paul says Clough hasn't even mentioned about leaving. He was on about bringing in 4 to 5 players next season. So no talks of him leaving. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he'll have one A3 bit of paper on his wall which says squad for League 2 and then another which says squad for League 1 on. I'm sure there'll be plans very much in place for where we are on that as well. Mark says, please don't play Hawkins at centre-half again. He should be up front where he belongs. I believe changing the back 4 cost us the win on Monday. And Tom asks, I like Hawkins, but always caught out of the back. Seems to react too slowly and often out of position. He's great if it's in the air, though. Yeah, I'm sure he'll give us an option on Saturday against Forest Green Rovers. Let's go back a little bit to the Salford game for a couple more minutes then, Clive. Obviously, really, really picked up after that opening goal for Salford and did really, really well to come back into it. But again, it's just that lack of clinical finishing, isn't it? We had 2 or 3 opportunities in the first half to make it dead and buried. I honestly believe that if we'd have had at least a 2-goal buffer at half time, we'd have gone on to win that game. And we had the chances as well in that first half. Not so much in the second, but certainly in the first.
We did. You've already mentioned the Matty miss. That would have made a world of a difference to the game if that had gone in. And I think we worked hard enough and created enough chances. Just on another day, we'd have scored a couple of them. As I said at the very beginning, I think we were worth a win. The fact we didn't get one is the only thing that really matters. We came away with a point.
Yeah, certainly so. And you know, we got a couple of goals from McLaughlin, and Reece Oates looked lively as well, Alan. But we were just missing that little bit. Do you think the nerves got to us a little bit on Monday?
I don't know about nerves. I think it was. It's hard to put into words. In the second half, they looked a bit cautious to me. It might have been nerves and, frightened of them, because after the equaliser, they looked gung-ho, didn't they? I mean, we know they'd got to win anyway, but they came on really strong, they did. And there were a couple of times, especially when Imu scored the second goal, who shouldn't even have been on the pitch, mentioning no names again, hit the bar. And that was, it could have been 3-2, but we looked too cautious, I thought. But Oates, I thought, was firing on all cylinders again. He was a bit unlucky for that one that swerved at the keeper, like it hit his body and went out, because, that could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, that's why.
I think we're a little bit nervous, might be a good word, Craig.
Yeah, I think that's why I was sort of saying earlier about the fact that we just defended to make sure we protected the point on Monday. And I've got no real issues with that. I mean, it's just a shame almost that it wasn't the other way around. Like, we didn't play Salford on the Tuesday, and that was when they needed to win. And then we had, Stevenage after as the game in hand or whatever. But Swing, you can't predict the footballing calendar. You can only play with what's in front of you and things like that as well. So let's tick off a little bit more of Salford, and then we're going to move on to all the permutations and making it short, we believe. Let's get some post-match reaction from Nigel Clough speaking to me pitch side after that 2-2 draw with Salford City. The math says it's still possible on the final day, but that feels like a massive opportunity missed today, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course, when we get 2-1 up at half-time. Gave 2 very poor goals away today. Difficult team to pick today, leaving Elliot Hewitt out, but we thought with Smith we had to bring Ollie Hawkins back in at centre half, and he dealt with him generally very well indeed. But ultimately, we conceded 2 goals in the middle of our penalty area, middle of our goal, 3 headers, and that's what's cost us the game.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you'll look back on that at the end of the season and look into that in a little bit more depth. But one thing your side had today was that encouragement to get back in the game, particularly in the first half.
Yeah, I thought once we conceded, I thought then for the next 20 minutes or so, we were excellent. We controlled the game totally, deserved our equaliser. And for some reason, I know they changed a little bit, but we stopped doing all those good things for the sort of 20 minutes before half time. We get a break with the penalty, and really that should be enough to win us the game today, especially when Salford have to go for it. We need to get through sort of 15-20 minutes of the second half, keep that lead intact, and then the game opens up as it did late on, and I thought we had some unbelievable situations to go and win it.
Yeah, I suppose we've spoken about this quite a lot in terms of the importance of goal times, and Salford's second sort of came at a time where they had enough time to sort of scamper and put the pressure on. Had it not fallen, the longer that clock had ticked, it'd have been probably a little bit more easy for your side today.
Yeah, definitely, and the game would have opened up, and as we saw it did in the last 10 minutes, Salford have to win to stand any chance as well. We got the draw and we're still in with a chance of automatic and the playoffs. We could get all 3. We were hoping to get the 3 points and definitely secure the top 7. We haven't managed that, so it's all on next week.
Yeah, it is. Stephen McLaughlin got a brace for you today. What was your thinking when he puts the ball down for a free kick behind us? Are you thinking this is in?
Yeah, I thought he'd score. He's very, very good from dead balls and things, and for a lad who's played left back, I think he's got a good few goals this season now. Very important players for us, and it was a great free kick because he can go over the wall or he can go down the other side, which he did, and it gives the goalkeeper a problem.
And the penalty as well, I think it just shows the calmness of McLaughlin at times.
Good penalty taker, he's been on them for the second half of the season. Touch wood, he hasn't missed so far, but he was good today. I just thought the front 3 misfired. And that was the reason that we didn't get more goals.
Yeah, and then a good save as well from Tom King when Oates went one-on-one. Managed to sort of somehow fumble it away. I don't know how.
He just parried it away, and as sometimes it drops through a blue shirt and somebody taps into empty net. We had Jordan in there, we had Matty Longstaff in there, and it just dropped in between everybody, and it was that sort of day.
Yeah, it certainly was. No Stephen Quinn today. Again, what's the latest with him? Any chance that he'll be back for Forest Green, or now, considering where we are with the potential of playoffs, do you think one more week might be enough to get him back for a final push?
No, we've got to try and get in them. We're not even guaranteed being in them, so if there's any chance of him being fit, he'll play next week.
Yeah, and of course, Ollie Clark back on the bench today as well. That was a nice little surprise about an hour before kick-off.
Yeah, he's trained a couple of times, and we just thought we might need his sort of physicality in there today, which I thought we lacked at times. We're not a very good team at tackling, especially in the midfield area, and that's one thing he excels in, so that's why he was on the bench.
Yeah, and a word on the fans today, just over 1,200 of them, loud as ever again, and you saw when they were walking in, I got here about a couple of hours before kick-off, they were all on the streets, all sort of having a laugh and enjoying their away day, and even though the results not perhaps gone for us the way they wanted it to, it's still a nice little day out, and I'm sure that'll get you over the line on Saturday at home again.
Hope so. It's important as well. We've tried everything we could to win the game today, obviously, but it's important that we didn't lose it as well, because that would have meant that we would have had to win next week, which is a different to guarantee the playoffs, which is a different proposition against Forest Green. So, but they've seen the team have a go, and I'm just willing that if we could have just got that winner late on, I think that end would have erupted.
I think I already know the answer to this question anyway, but I'm guessing you won't be watching or worrying too much about the Port Vale game, because it's all about what you guys do on Saturday.
That's it. It's almost irrelevant now. You just know with the fixtures, Bristol Rovers have got Scunthorpe, so that's why you would expect them to get the 3 points. We just got to secure a playoff place, and you never know on the final day. Funny things happen, but it would take an unusual turn of events.
A frantic afternoon here. Finally, what's your message to those supporters? Still a handful of tickets, not many left for Saturday at home at the One Call Stadium. It's in a great place for us this year. What's your message to make sure there's not a single seat left?
Just come and make the noise that you've made all season, and especially in the last few months, because it really makes a difference. And if we can get close to a sellout, we'll do our best to get in that top 7 for you.
Always drama with Mansfield Town, isn't there?
Yeah, so I'm learning.
Thanks, Nigel. And much more drama to come on Saturday afternoon. That's Nigel Clough speaking to me from Mansfield 103.2 after the game at Salford on Monday. You can watch more from Nigel on I Follow Stags, and you can also hear from Stephen McLaughlin, the man who scored a brace on Monday on our YouTube channel. as well. Drama to come, and we were talking there about the final few tickets. Well, since we recorded that interview after the game on Monday, Clive, the news is out that it is an absolute sellout at One Call Stadium in terms of the home end on Saturday afternoon. Thoroughly expected it to be like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, despite all the complications of our ticketing system and policy that's imposed on us, we're somehow managing to sell all the tickets for the home fans. It'll be a real sticker in the throat to see over 1,000 empty seats in the North Stand, given the circumstances, but we can do nothing about that. But yes, by the way, everybody who's watching and listening, if you've got a couple of spare Ian Greaves upper tickets, I'll gladly pay for them. A couple of members of my family want to go, but that's wishful thinking, I guess.
Yeah, very much wishful thinking at the moment as well. But Clive mentioned there, Alan, about seeing some empty seats in the North Stand. I think if we're being honest, there might be less empty seats than anticipated, because Forest Green fans can still buy tickets on the day, and there will be a few that try their luck.
I'm sure they will, Craig. I'm sure they will. But do you know offhand exactly how many tickets, you say it's a sellout? What will that mean in terms of our fans? Because I'm not sure.
It's got to be 8,000,
hasn't it? It's going to be 7,000 odd.
Is it 8,000 something?
I would have gone 8-2. My guess would have been 8-2, but it depends on, I don't know how many seats. How many seats are in the North Stand?
Is it 5 in the West Stand and then 2.5 in each? North and Lane?
No.
The can't be, can it?
In the North Stand,
is it 5 in the West and 2,250 in each?
5 in the Ian Greaves stand collectively.
Yeah.
The North Stand is bigger than the Quarry Lane end, and the North Stand is about 1,400 to 1,500 seats. So you add all that together. We're not going to get 9 anywhere it happens, because of the isolation. We have to leave so many seats and whatever. I just weren't sure exactly, when we say it's a sellout, exactly how many that is. But if it's 8+, it's going to be very raucous. I know that.
Easily 8+, I think. Easily.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 7.5. But the reality is, if we do get promoted, when we get promoted, we are going to have this problem regularly. So there has to be a solution sought for this. Either we find a way of carving up the North Stand so that it can be used for excessive home support when it's required, or we find another way of accommodating away supporters. None of these things can happen overnight. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, because, I mean, prime example for me, actually, in terms of grounds, the way they do it is Carlisle. They have a really good way of doing it. Obviously, they've got concourses and toilets and food all the way underneath, but they've got these massive double doors, which shut and bolt. They're really sturdy, so obviously fans can't break through, which then divides it up very, very nicely indeed. Obviously, you've got all the facilities behind the North Stand as well, which makes it sort of isolated. But surely there must be a way of doing it, of putting some sort of toilet facilities and food catering facilities in one of the corners to sort of alleviate that problem. It's a very, very difficult one.
I'll tell you what, the next time that Salford bring their fans to Field Mill, they can use that old toilet in the corner of the ground that is between the old Bishop Street side and the North Stand, because that's about the equivalent to the ones they let our fans have on Monday.
Well, there you go. There you go. Right, let's move swiftly on. Final thoughts on Salford. Tom says, normally taking 4 points off Salford in a season is good return. I think we played well, but unfortunately, they probably raised their game because they needed to win to have a chance at the playoffs. Absolutely. Pedro says, capacity 9186 according to Interweb. And then conflicting reports in the North Stand. 1,800, somebody says, and another says 1,619. I still think just under 8,000, I think, on Saturday. We shall see. Talking of Saturday, it's time to talk permutations with one last chance. You need all your abacuses. You need your fingers, your toes. You need every counting device possible for you to think about this. quite simply, without overcomplicating it, win, we could get automatic promotion if results go our way. Draw, we're definitely in the playoffs. Lose, we need to then hope that Sutton do not win. We'll go through all the proper permutations in a minute, but first and foremost, taking away, the supporters element of things, Alan, and all of the things which come with it. It's so exciting, isn't it, to see it, be so up in the air, be so open, because it just adds to that competitiveness and that, the way it could swing with the emotions.
And the thing I like about it as well, Craig, is you get to know without looking at your phone, you get to know without other teams are getting on, because the crowd will tell you straight away. It'll be either Raw that either Northampton are losing or Bristol Rovers are losing, without us, obviously, when we winning or if we're winning, obviously we get the shouts anyway. But you can normally get to tell how the other teams are getting on and where you need to be. And I'm sure that counteracts onto the players as well, because they'll be able to hear all the oohs and ahs from the crowd as well.
Yeah, they certainly will. It is quite thrilling though, Clive, isn't it, to be involved within it? I mean, obviously 3 years ago today we had the heartbreak of MK Dons and needing just a point there to go up in automatic promotion. It's a little bit more open this time around, but I think that makes it even spicier, because we've got no idea who we could play in the playoffs. It could be one of 17,000. We could get up automatics, and we could also fall out. For a neutral, it's beautiful. For us, not so much. It's heart attack inducing.
Yes, you couldn't have written a script like this, could you? It's to have so many teams right up until the last couple of games in contention for promotion. It's incredible, and whoever fails under these circumstances shouldn't really feel too ashamed. It's one of those situations where you can't get everybody up there. And there've been a couple of really good sides this year. I mean, for most of the season, Forest Green Rovers have merited their superiority in the table. And let's take our hats off to Exeter. They've really found form at the right time, and even more so Bristol Rovers. So, that's the sort of finish you need to have. And but I have to come back to the positives in all this. We have won 13 of the last 14 home games. I mean, in that time, we've beaten Exeter. So we've beaten the better sides in the top half of the table. We shouldn't be fearful of playing anybody at home. It's just the scale of the reward that's probably going to make us all a bit more nervy and nail-biting. Just going back to the attendance, if Pedro's right, about 9,186-ish, and if the away stand holds about 1,600-ish, you take one from the other, that leaves you about 7,600-ish. Plus the Forest Green Rovers attendance. So I don't think it'll be over 8,000. But anyway,
yeah, we will.
If it is.
Yeah, let's go back to permutations. We'll talk Forest Green shortly indeed, but let's have a look more in depth then at those permutations. It is quite a complicated one. Obviously, the simple fact, like we said earlier, is we get a win, we could go up automatics regarding on results. We get a draw, we're definitely in the playoffs. We lose, then we're looking at Sutton. But this is how the land of the tail of the tape is. Stags can achieve automatic promotion if Mansfield win and both Northampton and Bristol Rovers fail to win. They can also achieve automatic promotion if they were to draw, and this is where it gets crazy. And if the Stags were to draw and Northampton were to lose by 6 goals or more, and Bristol Rovers lose, and both Port Vale and Swindon also fail to win, the Stags would go up in the automatic promotion places. Very, very complicated indeed. Let's be honest, scenario B isn't going to happen. And if I'm having my hand on the heart, I don't think scenario A will happen either.
I'll tell you what, you get cracking odds at Ladbrokes for that.
You would. You certainly would. Playoffs, any position in the playoffs. Scenario A, Mansfield win and either Bristol Rovers or Northampton both win as well. Or, of course, the Stags draw. Other results in that scenario are irrelevant. And also the Stags will get into the playoffs if Mansfield were to lose and Sutton were also to fail to win. So a draw would not be enough for Sutton if Mansfield were to lose. Then, of course, the Stags will stay in League Two next year if Mansfield were to lose and Sutton were to win. It wouldn't matter about goal difference because of how tight it is in there. Let's have a little look at the League Two table as it stands then at the moment. Obviously, Exeter City and Forest Green Rovers both promoted, but both also going for the title on the final day. Thanks to results in the last couple of weeks, it's actually Exeter who are in the top of the tree at the moment, 84 points on a plus 25 goal difference. Forest Green Rovers in second now after leading the way all the way through pretty much on 83 points, but a much better goal difference on plus 31. And then this is where it gets interesting for us. Third place, Northampton, 77 points, plus 20 goal difference. Bristol Rovers in fourth, also on 77 points, plus 15 goal difference. Stags in fifth, a point behind on 76. Also on a plus 15 goal difference. Port Vale then below the Stags in sixth, 75 points plus 20 goal difference. And Swindon in seventh, 74 points, also a plus 20 goal difference. And goal difference, I've got a funny feeling, will take a huge impact on where teams finish at the end of the campaign. And then the two teams that can still get into the Sky Bet League 2 playoffs mathematically, if results go their way, Sutton United in 8th on 73 points, and then Tranmere Rovers in 9th on 72 points. Let's run through those fixtures. First and foremost, Exeter City, who are at the top. They play 6th place Port Vale. Forest Green take on the Stags, of course, at One Call Stadium. Northampton, they travel to Barrow, which is a difficult place to go for teams to go. They won't have too many fans at Barrow. I know they've asked for more tickets, but it probably won't happen. Difficult place to go, and I believe that Barrow also beat Forest Green at Barrow a few weeks ago quite convincingly as well. So it could be an interesting one with Northampton's result. But what almost seems like a banker is the fact that Bristol Rovers in fourth are at home to Scunthorpe United. Now, somebody did say in the comments earlier on about Bristol Rovers and Scunthorpe's record against each other. It's
they haven't won since 2004 at home.
Yeah, it's 2004 at home, but you never. I think this year, I think that is about to be broken. Honestly, Scunthorpe, the worst side that I've seen this season. Where did I get to? Port Vale then in 6, as I said, they take on Exeter City. Won't have a lot of fans there, but they are beaming it back to Vale Park as well to try and sort of get the atmosphere going, although it won't make any difference at all to the players on the pitch there. Swindon in 7th. They are, where have they gone? I had it written down a minute ago. They are away at Walsall. Sutton in 8th, the team that can mathematically catch the Stags and knock the Stags out of the playoffs. They travel to Harrogate Town, whilst Tranmere in 9th, they are away at Leyton Orient. So fixtures, all tough fixtures, Alan, but I think if you were a sensible betting man, your money would be on Bristol Rovers, surely, to clinch that 3rd place.
Well, you'd have thought so, but a draw's not out of the question, is it? Providing we win.
I mean, it is. We've all seen Scunthorpe play. Come on, it is.
Yeah, but
they drew last week.
Let's be real.
You can't see Scunthorpe winning, but there's a possibility they could draw, and that would help us out immensely, providing Northampton do the same, and we obviously beat Forest Green. But whatever will be, would be. Like we said, Craig, before, if we finish in the playoffs, we've done exceedingly well, and you've got possibility of another 3 games then to sort it out, and then it's in our own hands again, isn't it? That's the crux of the matter, when it's in our hands.
Imagine if Agent Sinclair, though, pops up Clive and scores a 90th minute winner for Scunthorpe at Bristol Rovers. That would be something, wouldn't it? Clough would be like, we knew it all along. We knew it would come down to that. That's why we did it.
Well, Scunthorpe did manage a 1-1 draw on Saturday, and Mr. Sinclair was an unused sub.
Who did they play?
Somebody will tell us. I've forgotten.
I'm going to have a look now. Oh, at Hartlepool.
Yeah, not a bad result.
No.
Yeah. Not bad
Worst things, stranger things have happened. Yeah. Although I think Joey Barton will have them fired up.
Especially on home turf. I mean, if they were going to Scunthorpe, I think it might be a little bit different. But the fact they're on home turf as well, mainly because the scum. I think there probably wouldn't be a crowd. I think the stewards and the safety groups would probably say we're not going to let crowds in for that one, considering what happened last time. Scunthorpe were
Well,
were
sold
at
out.
home and
I mean,
everything. So.
the Bristol Rovers have sold all their tickets. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd expect that. I mean, they've come at the right time.
Yeah.
St James's Park is sold out. You'd expect that, you know. Forest Green Rovers can't sell all their seats, whatever they do.
Yeah, Pedro says this is all in Cloughie's plans, so we can all have a day out in London. I mean, weeks ago, I wouldn't have. Someone's got a text message. Poor from Alan. Poor from Alan. I genuinely think, you know, I couldn't have. I didn't want the playoffs weeks and weeks. Yeah, everyone wants to go off automatics, but I think hand on heart, Clive, if we're being truly honest with ourselves, the odds for automatic promotion, yes, we can go and try and win the game and see what happens, but the odds for it are stacked against us, and we need to be prepared mentally as a supporters, you know, collective for extra games to come.
Yeah, there's been lots of occasions where if we'd had a goal here or an extra point there, or the referee had opened his eyes here or there, we could have been in a comfortable position in the top three. But what's gone's gone. We just have to work from where we are now going forward. And as Alan said, if we get enough out of this game on Saturday and the other results don't knock us about, then it's back in our hands. We've got a home and an away game and hopefully a final at Wembley to look forward to. I personally don't hold any hope out of us getting into the third automatic spot, because I think Bristol Rovers would lynch the manager if they didn't get through on this game against a team which has struggled all season, and quite understandably. So,
Alan, go on. Sorry.
Not finished.
Alan, I was just going to say same question to you. Hand on heart, what's it going to be? Are we going to be in for more games?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I do think so. But I'll be well gutted if we get there, because obviously, as you know, I can't go. I'd already got other plans because they changed it round, because it's normally on a Monday when they have the League Two. But this time around it's a Saturday. But I should be cheering them on anyway.
Absolutely. Tom says the 12-game winless run is what's cost us an automatic spot. Been in great form since the Tranmere home game. I think we've had a little few stumbles in and around it, but I think one thing we have to also do on Saturday, Alan, is not sit there and go, well, if we'd have got this here or we'd have got that there. 45 games we cannot change now. We can't change refereeing decisions. We can't change Stephen Quinn being out for 6 games. We can't change James Purcher's injury layoff. We can't change the two lads which came in on loan and were injured when they came in as well and didn't hit the ground running, etc., etc. All we can change and all we can affect is what we do on Saturday afternoon. And I honestly say, you know, there will be fans that are there on Saturday, and I mean this in the greatest respect, that are only coming because it's a big game, it's the end of the season, and they want to see some glory. So all I ask of those fans is, no matter whether we're winning, losing, drawing, no matter what the scores are elsewhere, stick with us, because we've had a superb atmosphere at One Course Stadium for probably 70-80% of this season at home. That needs to continue, because that will be the difference for me on Saturday, because we will drown out Forest Green Rovers any sort of a chance. But it has to be positivity. We cannot allow toxicity to play its ugly head.
Yeah, well, I think Nathan Barnes will certainly be getting his drumsticks ready, and the Q Block and Quarry Lane and Lower Ian Greaves. I've heard them all this year. I've heard the ones above as well. It's been a really good atmosphere, you know, with the fans singing and whatever. And like the old cliche says, Craig, the table doesn't lie. We are where we are. And same as you said, it'll have an absolute raucous energy atmosphere on Saturday. And I presume John and Carolyn will be back as well, because I spotted them at Salford on the
they'll be
TV.
back.
Yeah, they'll be back. So it should be a really good, entertaining afternoon.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
Certainly hope it is. Clive, what about yourself? You know, I imagine it's the same message from you, isn't it? Yeah, there will be faces that we've not seen for 3 years since we were at MK Dons and things like that. They may be heated emotions and things like that, but the fact is, hand on heart, like we've said, our season isn't over and won't be over once that full-time whistle blows, unless something drastic happens. So we've got to keep that momentum going. As you said earlier, 13 wins out of 14 home games. That is an incredible stat. Let's make it 15 from 14.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the vast majority of the Stags fans this season, and let's remember we've increased our fan base noticeably during the course of this season, have been absolutely excellent at every game. There aren't many clubs that have had the situation that we've had, where win, lose or draw, they're getting applauded off at the end of the game. I've been at the club long enough to remember times when there was the Boo Brigade won out at the end of matches when we hadn't achieved what we were aiming to, and even more so away from home. I think the away from home contingent of Stags fans is an absolute credit to the club. And I don't think we've ever had less than about 300 go to the furthest flung game grounds in the darkest midweek fixtures, and we can certainly fill most away ends when we're performing as well as we have done. I've thoroughly enjoyed this season, whatever the outcome, but I wouldn't want not to get into the playoffs now. I think I'm with every other fan there. We've come this close, we've come this far. We warrant being in the playoffs. I don't think we quite warrant being in the autos, if I'm being honest, and that's where we are.
Completely agree. I agree, because we've not been good enough in some places, but we have been good enough to warrant an extra go at it and see where we are at the end. So let's certainly pack out One Call Stadium on Saturday. Time to turn our attention to podcast predictions. It's still tight at the top. Nobody scored a point on Monday. So Nathan still leads at the top. Clive, you're in second. I'm in third. Steve is in fourth. Nick is in fifth. Steve Naden in sixth. Cam in seventh. Alan, you're in eighth. Roger King in ninth. And Ricky is in 10th. Don't forget, every single person who finishes inside the top 10 will get a Mansfield Matters goodie at the end of the campaign. And anybody who finishes above member of the Mansfield Matters panel will get an extra special gift as well. Forest Green Rovers at home then. Time to make your predictions. Clive, I'm going to start with you. I want, as always, the score, the goal scorers, and for a chance to double your points. You won't get anything. There'll be no permutations like losing half your points or etc. if you get it wrong. But for a chance to double your points, which you gain on the afternoon, you can do a league position, final league position guess as well. So let's start with the usual, the score and the goal scorers, please.
I think we'll win 2-1, and I expect the goals to come from Murphy and Longstaff.
And where are we going to finish in the table?
6th.
Okay. Alan, you're up next.
I think it will be 2-0 to the Stags, Oates and Lapsley. And I think we will finish 4th.
I'm going to go next. No Nathan or Cam tonight. Nathan's looking after the little one, and Cam's watching Hollyoaks. They'll, I'm sure, send us their predictions in the week as well. Now, tough one for me. I think we are going to win the game at home. Certainly back us to do that. It's going to be nervy, though. I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet. I think we will go back to that back four of Hewitt, O'Toole, Perch and McLaughlin. But I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet based on the fact that Forest Green will give it a go. As much as we're saying that, they've done their job, they'll give it a go. They'll come at it and give us a go. So they will score. And I think we're going to win 3-1. I think it'll be nervy until probably the 60th, 70th minute, and then I think we might kick on. And I think we're going to get goals from Rhys Oates. I think we're going to get one from James Perch. And I think we're going to get one, an absolute scorcher from, and by scorcher, I mean 2-yard tapping, from, who am I going to go for? Who should I go with? He's going to logically score. I'm thinking about points now in the table.
Bishop.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if that happened. Honestly, if it's 0-0 with a minute and we get a corner in the last minute, I'm screaming for him to go forward. I don't know about you. I'm screaming for him to go forward. Who should I go with? Do you know what? I'll go with Lapsley. He scored. In fact, no, I'm going to change. I'm scrubbing that out. I'm going McLaughlin. McLaughlin. And I think we will finish 5th. I think
so we've got a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th between us.
Yeah,
we have it spread even at the moment. Notice though, nobody's gone 3rd. Nobody's gone automatics. You never know. Stranger things have happened.
Somebody on the column said it's 460-1 the odds against getting into the autos.
Wow.
Well, we're all wrong.
If I've just seen if I've got a pound anywhere, just could do with the money, unemployed and all that. Anyway, let's move swiftly on. Thanks as always for your podcast predictions. Make sure you get involved via the link in the description. Also in the description is the link for our Patreon page, just £3 a month. There's content on there, a full episode from Andy White, Stag Stories, The Glory of the Amber Generation, and episode 2 with Barry Statham is on there as well. And at the end of this weekend, we'll be adding episode number 3 on there, which is with Sweary Les Robinson, the skipper, Les Robinson. A great episode on there. So get yourself on there and check that out. And there'll also be some exclusive content dropping on there tomorrow with the last manager to win promotion with Mansfield Town. So make sure you stay tuned to our social media pages for that. Thanks, as always, for getting involved. That's almost all we've got time for today. No highlights to end on this time around. Not going to look back on just one game. I'm going to do something a little bit different in the outro today. That's not it, though, from us at Mansfield Matters for this season. Of course, there's only one game left, so everyone will be thinking, well, that's it now, you're done. No. We'll be back on Sunday for the final Sunday sermon, probably, of the regular season. We'll be back, and we may all be together as well, weather dependent. We've got all plans to be all together in one place and sort of have a bit of a social as well to celebrate the end of the season. So stay tuned to our social media pages for that. We'll be live on our usual places with that one on Sunday. Then we'll be live in the week as well, which will either be an end of season disappointment show because we've lost and Sutton have won, a playoff preparation show, or you never know. What was it? 800 to 1?
Yeah, promotion party.
A promotion party episode. So there'll definitely be at least 2 more episodes to come. But if we're being honest, there's at least 5 more episodes
and
to come.
And the attendance is going to be 7,777.
Yeah, imagine that. If you haven't got a golden ticket for Saturday's game, make sure you're listening to Mansfield 103.2. Lee Wilson back alongside me. Every kick of the action on the final day as we talk about the drama as it unfolds right in front of our eyes from One Call Stadium, a packed One Call Stadium. Can the Stags get over the line? Thanks, as always, to Clive, to Alan for getting involved tonight, and to Nathan and Cam as well. Wish them all the best. I'm sure we will see them on Sunday as well. My thanks to all of you guys for getting involved over the course of this season. As I say, more episodes still to come, so we're not over just yet. Just remember that no matter what happens on Saturday, the key word is believe. Nigel Clough will, as I said at the top of the show, will be delivering a 4-word team talk to his players. Alan Wilson, if you were Clough, what would your team talk be?
Come on, you Stags.
Clive, what would your team talk be?
Don't drop it now.
I would agree with similar things along that line. Only mine would involve a swear word, which is why I'm not going to say it. Something like, yeah, you know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
As always, as we say with things, always keep believing when you're a Mansfield Town fan. There's an easy way, a hard way, and a Mansfield Town way. Win and results go our way, it's automatics. Win and they don't go our way, it's the playoffs. Draw, it's the playoffs. Lose, and it's all over. Let's not even think about losing. Let's get the 1 point we need and extend this season a little bit further. And remember, once that full-time whistle is blown, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Doncaster come away, but a good challenge from Lapsley allows Clark to sweep it right for Maris. Back inside for Ollie Clark. Here's Quinn. Back wide he goes. Low ball. Lapsley. It's 3 for Mansfield. It's sheer joy for the Stags. That is an excellent team goal. It's a great ball in towards the middle, and George Lapsley fires beyond the static Lewis Hewitt, who steps in, now finds Law, low pass to Reece Oakes, 1-on-1 with the keeper. Reece Oakes takes it round in. Yes! What a ball from Jason Law. Reece Oakes around the keeper, back of the net, 2-2, game on!
What an absolute tremendous goal from Reece Oakes.
George Lapsley is about to be introduced for the Stags. He's stripping off over on that far side. Stephen McLaughlin is going to going to take this free kick. There's the whistle from the referee. Oates makes a run at the near post. Barry in the middle. O'Toole's up there. Barry! Jordan Barry puts Mansfield 3-1 up with a forceful header. Spins to the Stags fans and everybody jumps on him. There's Quinn. Feeds it wide from McLaughlin. McLaughlin low ball into Barry inside the 6-yard box. Barry with his back to goal does well to find McLaughlin. Low ball into the middle. Longstaff! It's 2! Mansfield Town lift the roof off the One-Call Stadium. The low ball in towards the middle found its way to Longstaff, who makes it 2-2. Matty Longstaff makes it Mansfield Town 2, Exeter City 0, and that should be good night Grecians. O'Toole cuts it out on the halfway line. O'Toole low ball down the right hand side for Rhys Oates to the right of the area. Oates low ball, great ball, and it's Jordan Barry who scores away to our right hand side with 5 minutes to go. All the Stags substitutes are off the bench and on their feet. They pile on Nigel Clough as the Stags players over on that far side pile on Jordan Barry, and Jordan Barry unlocks Rochdale with 4 to go. Rochdale 0, Mansfield Town 1.
I told you this would make. I had a feeling for Jordan Barry today.
30 seconds now remaining. Here is Oates on the edge of the box. Reece Oates turns, shoots, yes! And comes in it. Yes! George Lamsley gets in there and scores an all-important winning goal for Mansfield Town in front of the jubilant Stags.
Oh my God!
To go. Reece Oates has stunned the bolt, cannoned off the post, and it fell for Lamsley, who bundled it into the back of the net. Oldham Athletic 1.
Oh my God!
Mansfield Town 2.
Oh my God!
Stag.
Reece Oates has just done a rocketer. Turn hit the post, and it's. I'm telling you now, it's written in the stars. It's just come back. It's hit Lapsley and got into the net.
Quinn first time in for McLaughlin. Good for Mansfield. Man on his shoulder, McLaughlin, but does well to turn. Finds Stirk, 40 from goal. Stirk coming forward on the edge of the box. Looks to roll it in for Akins. Stirk still going forward. He's right. Stirk. Ace 3 for Mansfield. Listening back to that, and the hairs on the back of my neck certainly stand up. Some magical moments have unfolded so far. All we're asking is for one more. Can Mansfield Town do it? Can they get over the line either by way of automatics or in the playoffs? Make sure you're there supporting the Stags, and most importantly, believe. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. Thanks so much for your support tonight. Thanks so much for your support over the series. We'll be back with reflections on Saturday's game in a very special Sunday sermon on Sunday afternoon, and of course more shows after that, regardless of playoffs, automatics, or if the Stags do what we're hoping they don't do and end up finishing in League 2 and finishing in 8th place. Let's not think about that. Let's think about all the positives, and I'm going to end on this, my favourite goal of all. One more moment like this, please. Colchester send pretty much everybody forward by one. They'll try and overload numbers in the box. A big cluster of players between the edge of the 6-yard box and the 18-yard line. It'll be a right-footed delivery over on that far side. The referee just having a word with the one-man wall of Rhys Oates. There's the whistle. In comes the delivery now to that near post. It's headed up in towards the area. It's not been dealt with yet by Quinn. It is now to the edge of the area for Oates to try and flick it on, but it's won immediately again by Gene Kennedy, who puts the ball back in towards the middle, headed away by McLaughlin. And now Mansfield can come away because it's Rhys Oates in possession through the centre circle. Rhys Oates battling forward to the edge of the box. It's Rhys Oates! It's Rhys Oates! And it is magic from Roadrunner Rhys Oates, who split open Colchester United and sent 3 defenders. Watch this! Bang! 1-0.
What a goal! He's picked the ball up inside his own half. He's gone by 3 players. Every single one of them's trying to take his legs. And I'll tell you something now, there's not many players would have stayed on the feet there. But he's kept going, 25 yards out. Great strike. What a great goal. Roadrunner, beep beep.
What an incredible run by Rhys Oates. I cannot underestimate
at how difficult that would be for anybody else. It was like he was running. Anybody else would have run into trouble. It was like trying to run through 7 brick walls whilst on fire. But he did. A knife through melting butter. Every superlative you want. He got through them all. And from 20 yards, opened up his feet and just hit it. And that is what Reece Oates does. That is why he's Roadrunner. And that is why he is a man on fire.